in work relating to the actions of the ethnic nationalities in their blocks, doing their solemn assemblies and requesting for their self-determination back. It's important to know what has been done in the international space. And are we keeping in touch with that? Are we complying with what that is? And it is extremely important to know what has happened, especially in December of 2020. A lot of things happened, including the declaration of the constitutional force majeure, which is pretty much rejecting, repudiating, ending the 1999 so-called constitution that is really Military Decree 24. And we're going to talk about what has happened since then. And then we'll talk about what happens next. So I'm very sure that you're all looking forward to hearing about what you need to do and how you need to do it so that we can actually get to where we want to be. Because the power dynamics has shifted. And it is shifting back to the people. And it's going to take every one of us working together to make it happen. Okay, so welcome again to the NINAS World Press Conference. And for those who are just joining us, I just want to let you know that we are starting a little later because we had a little bit of an excitement this morning to this afternoon on the ground in Ibadan, where the rally's been held and where the live press conference is going to be held. And so we are going to, on this end, bring you up to speed, bring everybody up to speed as to where we came from and where we're going, and also give you some video information so you can get a different perspective. Okay, so I'm going to ask Mazzy. Mazzy, are you there? I can't see you. There's got a bit of people on now. Okay, what I wanted to do was to see if we could play a video, and while I line up the speakers that's going to talk about the journey, which is actually it's going to talk about our journey to freedom. That we're all getting on.
1999 Constitution, aside we the country people no follow make am. I reason say you know sabi. NINAS reject this 1999 Constitution as the necessary thing for unitary Nigeria because as it be so, this Constitution may be the country people make am. This 1999 Constitution na the source of our wahala, and if we want arrange this wahala for list, we go reason and reach schools, hospitals, roads, unemployment, police and armed force brutality, and other wahala where if we want start to dey talk, they go fit break. Some obunge wahala where this constitution don't cause na Fulani herdsmen terrorism and their partner Boko Haram where don't make over 105,000 country people kick bucket when them never bring come justice. Electricity wahala as it be say na federal government they control electricity generation, and so even though various states for the country free provide electricity, government no agree at all make them do so. This matter they under the 68 item exclusive list. Corruption wey them don't make as better thing for inside the constitution under section 6 subsection 6c and subsection 6d, section 81 and 82, section 121 and 122, and section 308. The rich people don't separate from the poor people, so because of this, nobody fit enforce federal character because the court no dey wan hear any case about this matter. Poverty don't full ground, as most of the money wey our country they make, over 80% they go politicians' pocket and the rest they enter infrastructure. Now country people no get joy. This na the reason we make Nigeria be grandfathers of poverty all over the world. For inside this 1999 constitution, For chapter 2, some ogbonge benefits and rights dey for the country people, but dem no fit enforce am because another section for the same 1999 constitution turn dis right to privilege. The section wey disqualify dis right and benefit na section 6 subsection 6c. You fit go check am during your spare time. You sabi say chapter 2 of this yamayama constitution provide all these better benefits to country people. But for chapter 1 under section 6 subsection 6c, e talk say court no fit take any case to enforce any of these benefits. This means say the country people no get right to those benefits. They only fit give us wetin dem wan give us. Make you try check am when you dey free. Democracy na government by the people and for the people. But this yamayama 1999 constitution don make democracy as government by the government and for the government. Federal and state governments suppose to care for the country people. Then explain wetin this section dey do for inside this 1999 constitution. Section 6 subsection 6c, remove all country people rights. Section 6 subsection 6d, provide way for all crime wey dey lead to mass corruption. Section 81 and 82, provide exemption way for the presido. Section 121 and 122 also provide exemption way for the governors dem. And section 308 wey block legal proceedings. Make I shock you. You sabi say the ogbonge federal government no fit provide security because security na one of the items on the 68 item exclusive list. So yarn me, how you wan come take continue with this kind mago federal government security? Shey now una don see why the Fulani herdsmen dey do their operation without punishment. This na one of the issues wey make NINAS constitutional force majeure comot to carry change come. NINAS force constitutional majeure no be like the way federal government and other take paint am. Na about correction and the will of the country people. NINAS constitutional force majeure na about bringing back the power wey the people bin get to decide their right to political, cultural and economic future as the United Nations Charter be allow. Make I still yarn you about this matter. You sabi say this 1999 constitution still our sovereignty when e lie for im preamble say, and I quote, "We the people do hereby make and give to ourselves the following constitution." By this statement, the document wey the 42 people write for Abdulsalami military regime for 1999 still be country people sovereignty, our rights to decide our future, economically, politically, culturally and otherwise. Dem surrender as penalty our assets and na make oil producing states like Abia, Imo and Bayelsa dey get less money than states like Kano wey no dey produce oil at all. You bin also sabi say this 1999 constitution provide backings for all the wuruwuru wey Fulani herdsmen dey do for this NINAS area. Make we let this sleeping dog lie. You sabi say by virtue of section 6 subsection 6c, we no fit hold the government responsible for our insecurity, corruption, poverty, bad roads, rotty educational system and facilities, high petrol price. You sabi say the section say government get the freedom to do wetin dem feel say make sense for them, even if e dey match on top the rights of the country people. You sabi say this section na the major source of corruption and unaccountability for Nigeria. You also sabi say by virtue of this 1999 constitution, government fit decide to take your forefathers' land when dem wan take am as the law take support am. E shock you? Dem get mind talk say na state dey control the land, but e allow governors wey government elect to give our land to the federal government. Na im make we get problem with open grazing and ruga. If to say politicians care about the people, they for support the total end of this yamayama 1999 constitution, but dem go gree? They no fit gree at all because na the plan to enrich them when they make the country people poor. Na im make we the indigenous nationality of the southern and middle belts that stand up, work with NINAS so that we fit achieve the total withdrawal of the 1999 constitution for our own good. Now, make I ask you this question. We fit count on you to support the ending of this 1999 so-called constitution and for us to go to referendum?
NINAS, the Nigerian Indigenous Nationality Alliance for Self-Determination, is an alliance of ethnic nationalities from the Middle Belt, Southwest, and Lower Niger region. On the 16th of December 2020, NINAS declared a constitutional force majeure against the illegitimate 1999 constitution. NINAS demanded that the federal government acknowledge the constitutional grievances expressed by the ethnic nationalities, as well as begin the decommissioning of the 1999 Constitution, and no further election should be conducted on the 1999 Constitution until all grievances are resolved. To support NINAS and the constitutional force majeure, sign the petition at www.ninasffn.org/register to end 1999 Constitution now. To speak with NINAS, call the number 0813-425-4584 or 070-5924-9885.
Thank you everyone again for attending, and I see that our numbers are growing. You are welcome.
1999 Constitution.
You are welcome. You are welcome. That is all vital information that we need to make sure that everyone gets. Just to give you a quick update from Ground Zero, which is Ibadan today. They are en route to the location for the press conference. As I mentioned earlier, for those who are just joining us, we did have quite a lot of policemen that showed up at the location, somewhere between 300 and 500 at the Yoruba rally where the NINAS folks were at. The NINAS leaders were there to speak at that rally. And, but the good news is that they were able to go ahead with that rally. And in a short while, I'm going to give you a little bit of some information, and then we're going to have Mazzy, who's going to show some of the pictures so you can see what's actually going on ground. But for right now, as I spoke about earlier, let's talk about a little bit of our history, where we won government. I know a lot of you are old enough to know that, even though the younger ones have not been taught our history, but where we won government. Well, let's go back to 1960 and what happened at independence. At independence, what we had was 3 regions. We had the northern region, the western region, and the eastern region. Well, were these just regions? What were they? What kind of regions were there? Well, they actually were separate governments. How do we know this? Because each of those regions had their own constitution. So when they went to Lancaster and they were talking about independence, they had a situation where these ethnic nationalities, and that's who we are in this room right now, right? And around the globe who are watching this, we're ethnic nationalities with our own separate governments. And they each had their own constitution. Now, in 1963, the 3 regions got together and they carved out another region, the Midwestern region. So at this point now, we would have 4 separate, self-governing, autonomous governments with their separate constitutions. And then there was a small center, and each of these regions were contributing to that center. And the reason that center was there was for economies of scale. There were things that made sense for them to do together. And so they had a small center. Okay. Now, fast forward to 1967. Oh, one more thing that we have to talk about with regards to the history is the fact that each of these regions had control of their own assets. Okay, so the oil, the diamonds, the gold. You do know that Nigeria is extremely rich, right? Even though we are the poverty capital of the world, but we are extremely rich. We have all kinds of natural resources everywhere, and each region had control of that. And they only contributed a bit to the center. And that center, guess what? Our forefathers were very bright. They determined that it made sense to rotate the leadership of that center, so it wouldn't reside in any one region. Okay? Isn't that what we're calling for today? What we're calling for when we're talking about restructuring? And yet there were those that say, no, we cannot restructure. That is foreign to us. Well, that's where we started. A rotating presidency was in the agreement. Unfortunately, in 1967, we know what happened between 66, 67, and then on to 70. There was a military coup by a very small minority. And by the way, just to clarify the information, Aguiyi-Ironsi did not actually lead a coup. He actually prevented a coup. But then there was another counter coup that occurred because he was going to hand the government back to the civilians, but that didn't occur. There's a lot of people playing hard and fast with our history for whatever reasons they have. A lot of it to destabilize the middle belt to the south, to create this tension between the ethnic nationalities and keep them from doing exactly what we're doing today, coming together for our freedom. Okay, so we now have a situation where these four governments have now been forced, and I mean forced, right? Because we had a military government. And that's how unitary Nigeria came about. Now, remember, before we go any further, Mazi, let me know once you have those pictures from the rally ready. You got to remember that to have a working constitution, that constitution has to be made by the people by referendum, right? That's not what happened with the 1999 so-called constitution. Because what happened is that was military constitution from 1979 that was wholesale brought into 1999. So it's a 1979 military constitution that was brought into 1999. And I don't remember, and that means I didn't see it, where any of us ethnic nationalities were brought into that process to have a discussion about it. They did set up some kind of 42 persons, and then there was another group that kind of took a look at it, and they made wholesale recommendations to make changes to that constitution. But guess what? It took 49 days. A lot of the good things that they put in there that would save us from where we are today didn't make it in. Those changes did not make it in. They wholesale brought in 1979. Okay, so Mazi, if you're ready with the pictures from on the ground, we'll take a look at that. And then from there, once we look at that, we'll talk about the journey that the movement from the New Nigeria has taken to bring us to this point where we're at. And I know that we have a couple of other people. I think I saw Donald Ekpo, I saw Dr. Rotimi, and they're going to be providing pieces of this information. So it's clear to us that we are on a path to freedom. And it's only going to take us and the masses to get us there. Mazi, are you ready with those pictures?
Just give us 1 minute, please.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to welcome those that are just joining us now. We are waiting for the press conference to start. We did have a little bit of a delay because of the presence of the police on the ground at the Yoruba, the NINAS Yoruba rally. But they are en route and things are getting ready. But in the meantime, we're trying to provide you all with information. And this is not just casual information, because everyone that is in here now needs to be a freedom advocate. What does that mean? It means that you have to know this information, because you're going to be the carriers of this information. You're going to be the leaders that are going to be talking to the masses, and you need to understand this well enough to be able to have that conversation with them so that they can understand where we were, the things that have happened, the things that NINAS has done recently, and where we're going. Every leader in this platform today, and those that are watching around the globe, this is information we all need to be very comfortable with delivering to our people. Because I just got some reports. We've got some groups that are at ground zero, which is what I'm calling the NINAS territory, from the Middle Belt to the South. And they are reporting that a lot of our people, including those who should know, actually don't understand what's going on in Nigeria. So it's going to take everyone here doing their part to take that information down to the ground so that we can rally the people. Thank you. Okay, Mazi, we seem to have lost your sharing because we were seeing more than one screen. Thank you.
ìjà ọdún mẹ́rin lẹ́bi ìjẹ wa. A sì ti wà nínú ìyà yìí ti pẹ́. Ẹ sọ fún mi, lẹ́yìn ìdájọ́ bàbá wa ọba Fẹ́mi Awólọ́wọ̀ àti bàbá wa lè Bọ́lá Ìgè ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ tó ṣe gómìnà. Kí ni nǹkan amáyémọ̀rún tá a lè tọ́ka sí ní ìpínlẹ̀ fún ìdí èyí? Báwo wọ́n ṣe rí? Ìpínlẹ̀ láti sọ̀pọ́ọ̀tì orílẹ̀-èdè tiwa. Kò gbọ́dọ̀ sí ààrẹ tó jẹ́ pé gbogbo tó wá tí ó máa sọ ájẹ́bìnrin sọ́tẹ̀. Ájẹ́ ààrẹ ó lè sọ èdè àbínibí wa. Ṣé bí ààrẹ wọn ò gbọ́ òyìnbó? Àmọ́ kò sírú àlejò tó lé ní èdè French ni yóò sọ. Ọ̀dọ́ ti wá sí ẹ lọ wo orílẹ̀-èdè tó bá ti jẹ́ wípé ẹlẹ́yàmẹ̀yà èdè ni wọ́n sọ.
Okay, thank you very much, Mazi. Thank you very much. Now, just wanted to let you guys, understand that, this part of what we're doing, right? We've had the constitutional force majeure. That was December 16th. What a glorious day for us. And then on March 17th, we had the World Press Conference that was watched by over 4 million worldwide to signal the end of the time that the courtesy time that we gave to the federal government to become a part of the transition process. And one of the things that we have to be very, very clear on is that we are ethnic nationalities, and we don't need the federal government, the state government, or any government to sanction our taking back our sovereignty. We don't need permission. This is self-determination, and it is a right. Now, between March 17th and today and midnight, we were consulting with the state lawmakers from the NINAS Alliance territory from the Middle Belt to the South, inviting them to be part of the process. And as you see from the caption today of what this meeting is about, it's about the constitutional force majeure. And this is where we're activating people power. Because as I said before, constitution can only be made by people, not a government, not a military. Sovereignty is inalienable. Let's say we all fall asleep like we did, even though we were working, trying to get it back. When we get ourselves together, we can get back our sovereignty, which is what we are well on a road to do. So congratulations, everyone. And we are really excited by what NINAS is doing to bring us there. Okay, right now, I'm just going to give you a really brief history of what Movement for New Nigeria has done. And then we're going to have, I don't see Clifford yet, but we do have Dr. Rotimi here, and I think we have Donald, who's going to give you all the parts of the information. But what has Movement for New Nigeria done? Well, as soon as that 1999 Constitution was unveiled to the horror of everyone, Movement for New Nigeria and this whole alliance came together. And I'm sure you guys remember all of the names of some of the people that have passed on, right? Who've been working on this since all the way back then. They had Pronaco, which was where they came and they had a freedom declaration for the Middle Belt to the South around this whole issue. Okay, so in 2006, they had Pronaco. And then since then, all the different blocks, the Middle Belt, the Lower Niger, which is the South, and the Southeast, and the Yoruba blocks have been working. And they all have issued their solemn assemblies. They had their solemn assemblies. And what did they say in their solemn assemblies? They said between 2015 and 2018 that they are taken back. They are coming and they are asking for their sovereignties back. So all of that has happened, okay, between 2015 and 2018. You know, the Lower Niger first, then the Yoruba, and then the Middle Belt. They have all done that. And in addition to that, prior to that solemn assembly, between 2007 and 2009, the federal government was sued over this 1999 Constitution, saying we did not make it. And oh, by the way, you know, God has a sense of humor when he's trying to make sure his children are not cheated. When they first published that 1999 Constitution, did you know that they published it with the note that they had in the Constitution telling the printer to remove that note that said that the people did not make this Constitution and they forgot to do it? But you know how a God works. It was printed. It did have that. And we do have that information. So what could they do in court? Not a whole lot. So the first thing they did, because the first lawsuit was filed in Abuja, they said, well, you know, the justices are old. They can't be coming to Abuja. So let's move it to Lagos. I said, okay. They moved the lawsuit to Lagos. And then that started some really interesting things that they were doing. They wouldn't show up. They took the electricity in the building. They did all kinds of things to avoid actually facing this. Because there's no answer. Because the only really answer that you can provide is a referendum and a vote by the people. I didn't vote, you didn't vote, my parents didn't vote. I don't remember my older sisters voting. I don't remember anybody galvanizing anybody to, you know, bring the people to do this. So that preamble, we the people, you heard that in the Pidgin version, where it says we the people. It wasn't we the people. Okay, it was the military of the minority, very small minority that are not even indigenous to Nigeria, should we say. They are not even indigenous to Nigeria, the people that are causing our pain. But they have managed to capture our country, but we want our sovereignty back. We want to be able to determine how we interface. And so that lawsuit was filed. And they meandered this way, meandered that way, and nothing came of that. But we have to take the steps. We're not anarchists. We have to take all the right steps to make all the right decisions and lay the groundwork that is irrefutable and cannot be denied. So this process that NINAS has in place, the constitutional enforcement, it cannot be denied. It's irrefutable because we're doing everything by the book. Yes, it's taking time, but anything worth doing is worth doing well. And so what did they do? Yes, we have contacted the UN, for those of you who are wondering about that. The UN has been contacted. And in fact, in 2019, they sent what is called a special rapporteur to Nigeria to make an independent assessment of what's going on in Nigeria. Independent, not, you know, we were not trying to influence what she did. The other side, nobody could influence. She just had to go there, or he. In this case, it was ours, was a she. And she went and she did her own independent assessment. And do you know what she said? I'll just give you a couple of highlights. She said that the situation in Nigeria was grave, very grave, not just for Nigeria or West Africa or Africa, but the whole world. And she said that there is this constitutional arrangement in Nigeria. Did you hear that? A constitutional arrangement in Nigeria. This is a ticking time bomb, pretty much. It's a powder keg. And if it explodes, there's going to be problems. So what we're talking about is a constitution that is pretty much apartheid. Yes, you heard right, apartheid. And in case you're wondering how I can say that, is very simple. Have you looked at any of the key positions Let's use NNPC. Look at the top 20. Look at the names. Look at if they're Fulani, and no, there is no House of Fulani. We're talking Fulani, right? Or Muslim. DSS, police, army. Do you want to check anywhere? And in fact, recently, that was just last week, I saw that some of the universities in the South have now acquired, Northern leaders. So what we have is apartheid. And as mentioned in the video, our rights, all those benefits, wonderful benefits that we're supposed to be getting from our country, you cannot litigate that, meaning you cannot take any of the lawmakers and take them to court, because the court will not hear it, because the Constitution says that they can't. Okay, so Movement for New Nigeria, we've had this UN Special Rapporteur. We've had engagement with the US. First of all, Nigeria was placed on the watch list in 2019. And then it was blacklisted in December prior to the constitutional force majeure. And I'm not sure if all of you also saw that in December, that the International Criminal Court came down with a report that was reasonable basis to believe that not just the non-state actors, but also the Nigerian armed forces had committed crimes against humanity. And it was a long list. Okay, so there's been a lot that has been done. There's been the hearings on Capitol Hill between 2015 and 2019, and some has even happened since then. And I do see Clifford is going to be talking to us about the Constitution. So again, everything that needs to be done to lay the groundwork for what we're doing so that we can move into a self-determination has been done. And we are now at the end of that. And as we said today, is activating people power under that constitutional force majeure. Now we have Clifford, and he's going to give us a little information, a little bit more detail about what's in that constitution and why it is such a problem. Welcome, Clifford Iranya, and congratulations on your outing on AIT yesterday. That was awesome to see. So if you can please give us some information about the Constitution, like a summary, so our guests here, our leaders here, our freedom advocates here will have information that they can also be passing on to the masses, because that's kind of what we're here to do, is to now take the torch and move it on to the people and activate people power. Clifford, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Jane. I believe everyone can hear me. Jane, can you hear me very well? Can you? Yes,
I can hear you. Sorry, I was muting so that you could speak.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to be sure. All right. Yeah, welcome everybody. My name is Clifford Iranya from Arondio in the southern part of Nigeria. And also, very important to note that I am a signatory and one of the signatories to the Constitutional Force Majeure Proclamation document, which happened on December 16, 2020. Now, talking about the Constitution, I just want to start from the rudiment. A Constitution is a governance document that's agreed to by the constituents, that is the components of an entity that want to use that Constitution. And being the constituent, they have what is called constituent powers. Constituent powers belong to people with that sovereignty, which is inalienable. And I also want to say this quickly before I go into what Jean wants me to say. And that's kind of repeating what Jean said. that a constitution is made by the people in terms of governance, in terms of everything that has to do with a country. This is one document that is not made by the representative of the people. It is made by the people themselves. And very, very importantly, a constitution creates three things. Every standard constitution in this world creates three things. One, it creates the union. That is the first thing it does. Two, a constitution creates the institutions and the structures. Very important. And then the third one, that a constitution creates the rules and regulations that will guide those two things that I mentioned earlier. That is, that will guide the union and also that will guide the institutions and the structures. So in line of that, it goes without any doubt that the constitution must be in place before an institution will come. In other words, there has to be a constitution before a national assembly. You don't have a national assembly before a constitution. So for those who are making the argument about national assembly and constitution, they should understand this. Like we said in our local parlance, it is the dog itself that wags the tail, because it's the dog that owns the tail. It is that dog that wags the tail. It is not the tail that wags the dog. So let me go straight into the Nigerian 1999 Constitution. The Constitution itself is self-defeating. That is, it cancels itself out. What do I mean by that? In section 14, subsection 2A, section 14, 2A. Please, I want you to go and Google this thing and, research it yourself. Section 14, subsection, the Constitution canceled itself out right there. It was very, very specific. That he said that, that power belongs to, or rather sovereignty belongs to the people. So, in other words, it's the people that's supposed to make the constitution. So the question now is, did we make the constitution? We, the people, did we make the constitution? That is the question we have to ask ourselves. Was there any time where we made the constitution? The answer is absolutely no. We never. We never. And so when you look at that very section of the Constitution, you see that it right out there is cancelled itself. So it's even a nullity right ab initio from the beginning. Ab initio is a nullity. I'm trying to pull up the place so that, because sometimes when I do the things, I try to redirect. It says, sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom government through this constitution derives all its powers and authority. So you can see that, we can all see that it's self-defeating. Now, the second thing is this. As is the standard, and I'm sure many of us here know, anytime there is a constitution anywhere in the world, when everything, you start, you write, you form committees, you do all this, at the end of the day, a document is produced, which is called a draft constitution. When that draft is completed, the next thing to do is to activate that document into a constitution. And the way to do that is by simply, sometimes when I use the word referendum, people may not even understand. It's just a simple word for voting. Vote. And here you have two options, yes or no. A constitution is activated, brought into operation through voting, or what is called a referendum. The question now is, was this 1999 constitution voted for. No, it was not. Rather, it came through a decree. What you have here, ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching, what you have here is decree number 24 of May 5, 1999. This was what activated the 1999 Constitution and not a referendum. So you can see that it is also a nullity. The other thing I want to talk about this Constitution is that the Constitution itself gives room for corruption. In fact, it opens up the treasury for the president and the governor to do what they like in section 81 and 82, and section 121 and 122. So, the other one is that it grants immunity for the president and the sitting governor during their tenure. Why? Because of section 308, they can do anything they want and get away with it. No court can try them. And then when they have left office, they can now do whatever they need. All they need to do is to bribe the court and it will be over. Already they have made the money. They have empowered the people. They can lodge it anywhere, in the Cayman Islands, wherever they want. Now, the other thing we have to know about this Constitution is the fact that it protected, so many atrocities have been committed between 1966 and May 29, 1999. And when you go to section 6, subsection 6D, it gives a blanket immunity to all these treasonous felons. Some of us who are old enough will remember what happened on the 31st of December 1983, a Saturday like this today. It's just like today, Saturday, 31st of December 1983. Somebody carried a gun and put it on the head of Alhaji Shehu Shagari and Alex Ekweme and drove them out of the presidential palace. That act is called treason. Anybody can go take me to court or anywhere or even do anything. Let us define and find out what is the definition or meaning of what happened on December 31, 1983. Now, where am I going with this? If you go to that same section I was talking about, which is section 6, section 6C, section 6, subsection 6, all of them, subsection 6D, all of them that committed those criminal, heinous crimes, they cannot be taken to court because they are now protected. Now, the main thing I never want to talk about is section 4, subsection 2 of that Constitution, which is the section that has to do with what is called exclusive list. That is where all our problems are tied. Because it is in section 4, subsection 2, which is now explained in Schedule 2, Part 1. That is where you have what is called 68 items on the exclusive list. That we don't have good roads today, or we can't maintain them, is because of that very section. I am here in the United States. Junior herself is here in the United States. The federal government or the United States government has nothing to do with power generation. Nothing at all. I'm in the state of Texas. We have various companies that generate power. The only thing the government does is to regulate, to make sure that they don't rip off the customers and that they operate safely without endangering the lives of the people and the environment. That is all. They don't put their hands into power generation, nor are they involved in oil and gas industry. I made a post yesterday in a particular forum. They're talking about oil and gas. I said, what is even in vogue now is the midstream industry. For those who are not too familiar, we have what is called the upstream, the downstream and the midstream. Midstream is where the money is, that is where the employment is. And I made an example. There is no product that you use today that is not associated with an element called propylene, which is an unsaturated hydrocarbon in the alkanes family. What is propylene? Propylene is a propane, that's this gas we use in cooking. A propane that you remove just 2 atoms of hydrogen. Once you remove it, it changes it from propane to propylene. That is the product that is most highest in demand in this world. The company I worked on, they have like 20-year contract with India, China, Japan to supply them propylene. And it's a very expensive product, but easy to get. You get it from gas, and we have abundance of gas. All you need to do to install fractionators, and you dehydrogenate the propane, and you get a propylene. A very simple thing. But the fact is that the Constitution prohibits you from doing that. I don't want to talk about airports, I don't want to talk about seaports, I don't want to talk about IT. I will stay here all day because I have a short time to make my presentation. But the fact of the matter is that this Constitution is killing us, is the source of all of our problems. Now, the heartbreaking one, before I go, Gene, I know I'm running out of time. The heartbreaking one is in section 162 of that Constitution, which creates what is called federation account. It is in section 162 that conditions were given for sharing money in the federation account. Federation account is an account created by section 162 where all the revenues, apart from the one I think in foreign affairs and the military, all the other revenues coming in will go into that section 162. And they also gave a formula for sharing the money. And what is the formula, or what are the conditions? 3 conditions. 1, the size of the state. 2, the population of that state. And 3, how big that state is. So let's give a very simple example. Bayelsa State that produce crude oil, and that crude oil is sold, and the money revenue generated brought into the federation account. And now we want to share the money. You see that when you compare Kano and Bayelsa State, the local government, I think, is 9 or so. The other one has 44. Kano, Bayelsa population, I don't think they're up to 3 million. Kano has like 10 million. I don't even want to talk about area, how the size. So you can see, at the end of the day, Kano will get chunk of the money of the oil that was there. By the way, why should the oil be the concern of the federal government? It should be the concern of the owners, but the federal government will now get taxes from it. So I'm going to wrap up because my time is up. Finally, look at section 9. They are talking about amendment. Go and look at section 9. 3 conditions for any item to be amended. It has to be approved by 24 states. It has to be approved by 240 House of Reps. It has to be approved by 73 senators. Look at the map. Let me do this. Sorry, Gene, I know I'm supposed not to be talking even by now, but let me just say this, please, quickly. Please, pardon me. Look at this map. Look at this map. When you look at this map, how many senators do you have? How many House of Rep members do you have? How many states do you have? So you can see that they are absolutely in control. That's why you look at section 3 that created the states. Then we never agreed. And that section 3 affected section 48 and section 49, affected section 9, affected section 8, and most importantly, it affected section 134, subsection 2, for those of them who are looking for Igbo presidency. I'm sorry for you. Go and read section 134, subsection 2, so that you know what what your chances are. So let me wrap up here and leave it for now. But that document called Nigerian Constitution, activated by Decree 24 of May 5, 1999, is nothing but, as it was described by Calamard, a pressure cooker for injustice, and therefore must be jettisoned and decommissioned. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Clifford. That was very educational. And again, folks, as we were waiting due to the delay of the things that were going on the ground for the NINAS Yoruba rally, we wanted to make sure that we provided you with information because you're all leaders here and you are going to be presenting this information to others. We are going to be providing the information because there's a lot of people that don't know the history, don't know not just the history of the country, but also the history of what Movement for New Nigeria and NINAS has done, is doing, and what we're going to be doing, which we're going to be hearing about shortly. My understanding is that we have the team now at the Secretariat, and that we're going to be getting started with the World Press Conference shortly. I think I see Maxwell, who is the media person. So I think that they are coming on board. So let's, I think I can see them now from the Secretariat where they're at. So we should be kicking off. And let's just say that we have a lot of distinguished guests. You know, I'm not really sure who all is going to be speaking, but Prof. Akintoye, who is a chairman for NINAS and also the leader for Yoruba, is going to be here. Beatrice Pogo, who is the president for the Middle Belt Forum, is scheduled to be here. Prof. Yusuf Turaki is also scheduled to be here. And we're looking to have Tony Lianji, who is a well-known personality from the Middle Belt, is also going to be here. TK Ogariba, who's from the Ijaw Nation. And I know I have seen retired Rear Admiral Yanga from the Ijaw Nation here as well. And we're going to have other distinguished guests who are going to be here at this World Press Conference. But right now, I think we're looking to connect up with, with the Secretariat and get the process started. So I'm just going to check with Mazi to see where we are in that process. Mazi, are we ready to connect with them? Because I think I saw their feed coming in a little bit ago. There they are. Awesome. Okay. So I see that they're getting ready to get started. That's Tony and Nadi. And I'm just waiting to see if we have how stable this is going to be. So Mazi and Ginger, if you can please kind of let us know what is happening with the connection, because it looks like we're getting ready to get started. Mazi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I think we are waiting on them to start. So we've connected them now, so they can start it from now. Okay,
awesome. So in the meantime, I just want to say a huge thank you again to Clifford Irania for that very informative information. And again, everyone's going to be getting this information because you're all leaders, and we're looking to you to work towards the activation of the masses, activating people power. That's what gets us there. So Tony, are we ready? Can you hear us? I think your volume is still off. I think that the volume is off because we cannot hear you. So if you can unmute your volume would be great. Maxwell, can you unmute the volume, because I can see from the below that your volume is still muted. Okay, can we have you guys unmute? Okay, looks like we should be starting any moment now. So once they are ready, I'm sure that they would get started. But I might have to, just give me a minute. Okay, they should be unmuting anytime now so that we can get going. Okay, I think they're still getting a little ready for everything to be connected up. But again, welcome everyone to the NINAS World Press Conference. And we do apologize that we had a bit of a pause getting to the World Press Conference piece of it. And for those who are just joining, we had a little bit of a situation on the ground during the Yoruba rally where the NINAS leaders were. But it looks to me like they are unmuted now and we should be ready to go. Tony, can you please let us know if you are ready to go? Still can't hear you. Still can't hear you guys. Are waiting for your volume. Okay, it looks like they're trying to figure out the technicalities of it so that we can get started. Now, this is one of the things that we're talking about in our country, Nigeria. This is a country with so much resources and with so many doing so well. Those of you who saw the video from the pastor earlier, we're doing so much, and yet in our country, our internet is spotty at best. Our electricity is atrocious. Poverty is rampant. And unfortunately, that poverty is directly related to the cost of governance. When you have a few at the top eating the fat of the land, that's where you find over 100 million. Did you hear me? 100 million. And this is by the government's own numbers of Nigerians who are living below the poverty level. Picture this. Compensation to a senator, $600,000. No, I didn't say naira, I said dollars. Picture again. Minimum wage, less than $800 per year. Do you wonder that in the structure called Nigeria today, the unitary Nigeria, remember what we said earlier, we were 4 separate governments. In unitary Nigeria, we have there's no way to halt poverty. No way, the way it is structured today. And do you know why the politicians, the lawmakers are paid so much? Let me give you a secret that some of you already know. Every 4 years, when we have those national elections, all the elected officials have to swear to uphold the Constitution. They have to swear to uphold the Constitution. So if you are getting so much from the system, would you want to change it? That's the catch. the political process wrapped around a fraudulent constitution leads directly to poverty of the masses. And it's not just my own words. The CBN governor from a few years ago put out the numbers that it was 72%, and that was quite a little bit ago. 72% of the national income was going to governance. It's well over 80% now. So what is left for the citizens, for the indigents? Because we know those who are holding us hostage in that constitution are a small number, and they get their money because they are in all the places where money is. Guess who's getting poorer? Who's been starved? That's the indigents. That's us. It's the ethnic nationalities. And that's why it's vital for us to go through this process so that we can save our people. This is saving lives, it's saving the future. How can a rich country, we are rich in minds, we have brilliant minds, and yet this giant of Africa, supposed to be giant of Africa, it's pretty much a laughing stock, the poverty capital, the terrorist domain, with impunity at that. We must, everyone, even if you didn't have the passion before today in understanding how all of this fits together, how all of this works, you must have that passion for our people in the villages, in the towns, for the young people who are unemployed and can't see a future, for all this wealth that is being mismanaged, that is being taken away to places unknown and does not benefit the people who should be living a great life. You must have that passion in you after today to go out and do what is needed to restore the self-determination of the ethnic nationalities from the Middle Belt to the South. So we turn things around so that we can help. Because do you know that part of Cameroon was part of Nigeria, but they gave it away in 1960. We need to help Africa. I'm sure I'm not telling you anything new, because everyone has said when Nigeria finds its feet, things will change for the rest of Africa. And that's what we're fighting for, not just for ourselves, but everyone that looks like us. So I'm not really sure what is going on over there, but I'm going to step away. I'm going to have Donald. Are you on board, Donald? I saw you earlier. If you can talk a little bit about the constitutional force majeure and the 5 demands that were made very briefly while we're waiting for their volume to turn on over here. If you can do that very briefly, that would be great. Donald, where are you? I know there's a lot more people on here now, so it's a little bit more difficult to see people.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, awesome. If you can talk to us about the constitutional force majeure and the demands, that would be awesome. And let's just keep it brief as we're waiting for them to come back on. Thank you. Welcome, Donald. He's a great part of NINAS, and he produces a lot of those videos that we're going to be using to sensitize the masses and to see that everyone has the right tools to be able to deliver the right message. Welcome, Donald.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? I'm yet to see myself pop up as this thing. Can you hear me?
You are up, and yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, guests and fellow comrades in this struggle. It's nice to have us here. I'd like to thank Jane for the work you're doing. I'd like to thank Clifford for what he said, and he made it very clear why we do not need this constitution. And yet, a lot of people would ask and say, why is NINAS so concerned about the constitutional force majeure? Maybe we should just tell people what the constitutional force majeure is all about and why we see it as an avenue to restore our sovereignty and our freedom. The Constitution being the basis of the union of any country, nation, it's like the foundation. It is like the charter that puts everybody together. You know, and why it's important that the Constitution. Hello, are you live, Tony? Okay. Why it's important that the Constitution is made by the people, because it is actually what determines the union. It is actually what is like when you're building blocks, you're putting blocks together. So you have this concrete you put in between the blocks. It actually cements the different ethnic nationalities together to form a nation. And now if different ethnic nationalities are coming together, they need to agree on how they want to come together, how they want to be ruled, how they want to advance their economic policy.
Let's see, that's all there now. Seeing you clearly. So what we need to do is just do this. Do you understand? That's it. Okay, we're good to go.
I think we are getting ready to connect to the secretariats. Tony, are you guys up?
Yeah, we're here. We're good.
Are you ready to come on board?
Right. Yes, we're good to go.
Okay. So I was having a little chat about the constitutional.
Right, Donald, if you can just wrap up so that we can get started, that would be great. You can just introduce Tony and we can get going.
They can come on board. So basically, the foundation is not right. It's not made by these people. We need to find a way to get it done properly, the right way. So that's the whole essence of the constitutional force majeure. I think there's discussion there. I think we should allow them to come on board. Tony,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let's just introduce. So we do have Tony Inadi, who is secretary to NINAS, and he's going to introduce those that are on the ground. And we are going to get started. Welcome, Tony Inadi, and again, thank you for all the work that you've been doing over the years. And if you can get the process started, that'll be awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. We sorry to be running 1 hour behind because of the situation in the Yoruba self-determination rally. A lot of pushing and pulling here and there. And the leaders of NINAS had to hold a meeting to decide what else to do so that we can get on with what we have to do. It took a bit of over 1 hour to be able to make the adjustments we have had to make. But yeah, now we are good to go. Professor Akintoye is in the house, though from another location. All the other participants are also in the background. So let's go straight to the press conference. After their meeting, they mandated the October Shade Ulukoya, who is of the Ilana Omodua, to read the address of NINAS for this 17th day of April. Please, let's go on straight to October Shade Ulukoya for the address.
Constitutional force. Yeah, we still need to hold it.
No.
Constitutional force majeure, activating people's power. Being the text of the statement presented at a World Press Conference by the Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, NINAS, on the 17th day of April 2021, at the expiration of the 30-day period of consultations with elected officials from the alliance territories, following the expiration of the 90-day period of notice of grave constitutional grievances issued to the federal government of Nigeria by NINAS on December 16, 2020. All protocols observed. Ladies, gentlemen of the press, as Nigeria continues to wobble in the throes of what seems its sure demise as one political union, we welcome you all warmly to this very important milestone in the carefully programmed advancement of the objectives of the December 16, 2020 Constitutional Force Majeure Proclamation of a sovereignty dispute arising from grave constitutional grievances of the constituent components of Nigeria that must now be addressed by the operators of the Nigerian state. Today, the train of NINAS consultations and engagement on the December 16, 2020 proclamation moves on from the government of Nigeria to the peoples of Nigeria, who are the true owners of the sovereignties forcefully aggregated and federated as Nigeria. Hence, the conference theme, activating people's power. Let it be recalled, one, that by the December 16, 2020 Joint Regional Constitutional Force Majeure CFM proclamation, a union dispute in the Federation of Nigeria, as represented by the federal government of Nigeria, was declared by the constituent components of Nigeria, cooperating under the aegis of Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, NINAS, on account of grave constitutional grievances bordering on the unilateral imposition of unitary constitutional arrangements on Nigeria since 1999, which must be addressed forthwith, failing which the peoples of the alliance territories may have to reconsider their allegiance to the disputed 1999 constitution. The full text of the proclamation was published as an editorial in the Guardian newspaper of January 20, 2021, at pages 38, 39, 40, and 41. 2. That in the said proclamation, NINAS gave the federal government of Nigeria a 90-day period of notice within which to address 5 demands, namely, A, to formally acknowledge the sovereignty dispute as declared by NINAS, to formally commit to the wholesale decommissioning of the repudiated 1999 Constitution, C, to formally commit to the suspension of further national elections under the disputed 1999 Constitution, D, to formally commit to initiating a time-bound transitioning during which a 2-stage process for the distillation of successor constitutional arrangements founded upon the self-determination rights of the constituent components of Nigeria and ratified by regional referendums will be undertaken. E, to formally invite the constituent national components of Nigeria to work out the framework, mandate, composition, time frame, and other modalities for the said transition. That at the expiration of the said 90-day period of notice, no formal contact or statement was made by the federal government of Nigeria in response to the December 16, 2020 proclamation, despite frenzied attempts by agents of the federal government of Nigeria to rush to the National Assembly for amendments to the fraudulent 1999 Constitution on provisions touching directly upon many of the grave constitutional grievances raised in the Union Dispute Proclamation of December 16, 2020. Suddenly and curiously, the Caliphate North, which had for decades been adamantly opposed to the countrywide consensus on the restructuring imperative for unity in Nigeria, declared that they were now ready for restructuring, but that they would not allow power rotation. An indication that the Caliphate North is still stuck with their born-to-rule mindset and is merely trying to buy time for itself by pretending it now accepts the restructuring therapy for the terribly sick Nigeria. That in view of the fact that the demands of the December 16, 2020 NINAS CFM were directed exclusively to the federal government of Nigeria, and considering the fact that if matters should come to the threshold of the consideration of allegiance to the disputed 1999 Constitution as aforementioned, the first line of impact will be on the elected officials from the alliance territories. Being the south and middle belt of Nigeria, it was determined by NINAS that consultations be extended to the elected officials of the alliance territories, particularly governors and legislators, federal and state. That for the purpose of this consultation, a 30-day period commencing from the midnight of 17th of March 2021 was announced by NINAS at the World Press Conference on the 17th of March 2021, being the first day of the aforementioned 90-day period of notice to the federal government of Nigeria. That in the text of the NINAS World Press Conference statement of March 17, 2021, titled Constitutional Force Majeure, Union Dispute, and the expiration of the 90-day notice of grave constitutional grievances, next steps for trapped ethnic nations of Nigeria. The elected officials from the alliance territories were informed that in the face of the ongoing demise of the 1999 Constitution, from the consequences of the December 16, 2020 CFN, it has become necessary to take steps towards taking fuller charge of our various spaces. Accordingly, NINAS requested the elected officials to hold consultations with their own people within their various regions. In particular, the governors of the states in the alliance territories were advised to liaise with one another, send bills to their various state houses of assembly, and work with the assemblies to pass laws by which they assume responsibility, power, and control over most of the subject matters contained in the 68-item federal legislative of the 1999 Constitution, by virtue of the federal government having previously confiscated all powers over these subject matters, especially powers relating to security, economic assets, infrastructure, or other subject matters. We report to you this 17th day of April 2021 that at the expiration of the aforementioned 30-day period, earmarked for the said consultations, being the midnight of April 16, 2021, the NINAS Secretariat did not receive any indication that the aforementioned regional consultations had been undertaken by elected officials from the alliance territories. We further report that in what seemed to be a choreographed response from agents of the federal and state governments of Nigeria to the NINAS grand positions, attempts were made to distort, obfuscate, and even criminalize the straightforward self-determination campaign of the aggrieved constituent component blocks of the distressed Federation of Nigeria in a desperate bid to erect a false narrative around that campaign. Terms like secession were smuggled into the debate, and a section of the media, obviously in cahoots with agents of Caliphate Nigeria, promoted this false narrative with a former presidential spokesman, Ruben Abati, describing the self-determination campaign as treason in a poorly scripted maneuver to lay the grounds for criminalizing the self-determination campaign. One of the governors even went as far as questioning the standing of the statesmen driving the historic NINAS intervention on the grounds that they, that is the NINAS statesmen, were not elected by the people and so could not be speaking for the people ahead of the governors who were elected by the people. These shallow shenanigans aimed at introducing confusion into a subject that has been very carefully articulated both within Nigeria and in the critical decision-making positions across the world, failed woefully as more and more people and groups across Nigeria step forward to embrace the diagnosis, prescription, and treatment options offered all by NINAS for both the terminally sick Nigerian states and Nigeria's constituent component nations currently trapped in the failed Millennium experiment of 1914. Where things are right now with the distressed Federation of Nigeria. Let it be known to all, A, that the December 16, 2020 joint multi-regional constitutional force majeure, which effectively defeated the fraudulent 1999 Constitution and therefore unhinged the legal basis of unitary Nigeria, as adduced by its chief facilitator, Professor Yadudu, is a joint jailbreak action launched by the trapped constituent components of the defunct Federation of Nigeria from the Fulani-operated Caliphate prison and Union of Death that unitary Nigeria has been for the peoples of the Alliance territories since the 1966 demise of the Federation of Nigeria. B, that having overpowered and delegitimized the monstrous 1999 Constitution, and having fully activated the inalienable right to self-determination, the rest of Nigeria, South and Middle Belt, aggregated as the Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, NINAS, have now abandoned the carcass of the defunct Federation of Nigeria to the Fulani Caliphate and moved on with their sovereignty. It has been forcefully hijacked and confiscated by the inclusive federal government of Nigeria that emerged from the catastrophic bloody fiascos of 1966 to 1970 towards fresh constitutional protocols as willing compatible contiguities in unfettered self-determination. C, that with the demise of the 1999 Constitution and the unending killings and invasion of heavily armed Fulani militias, masquerading variously as herdsmen and bandits, in circumstances that progressively expose the open collusion of the Fulani-controlled federal government of Nigeria with the murderous invaders, it has become imperative for the peoples of Nigeria who are now facing the dire existential threats represented by this invasion to brace up and assume full responsibility for their own safety, their own defense from armed invaders, their own economic assets, and their own future, not as individuals or small community groups, but as de facto governments in all ramifications adequate to meet the challenges of their aforementioned existential threats. NINAS offers the framework of activating this de facto governance imperative, which begins with providing clear directions to our traumatized people and relating to the international community on their behalf. D, that in the face of the self-preservation steps being taken by the peoples of Nigeria to take down, dismantle, and decommission the Caliphate imposed 1999 Constitution, the voyage to 2023 general elections being plotted under the repudiated 1999 Constitution by agents of the Caliphate assumes a place of strategic and extraordinary importance, considering the direct nexus between that election and the preservation of the defeated 1999 Constitution. NINAS knows and hereby alerts the people of the Alliance territories that the mad rush of the Caliphate and its agents across Nigeria to drag Nigeria to another round of national elections under the 1999 Constitution is informed by the Caliphate's desperation to somehow resuscitate that Constitution in the sense that if instead of taking down the 1999 Constitution forward, which is well within our reach right now with the constitutional force majeure, we, the Alliance, go for elections under that Constitution, we will invariably give a fresh leaf of life to that Constitution. Whereas if we press on as we are already doing right now, by rejecting further any national elections, 2023 in particular, under the 99 Constitution, that Constitution will be dismantled, decommissioned, and jettisoned inside the first half of 2021, paving the way immediately for transitioning, referendums, and the emergence of successor constitutional arrangements. It is in this regard that NINAS is now informing the political nations of the South and Middle Belt across all the political parties in Nigeria that any decision by them or their political parties to go another round of national elections in 2023 will be interpreted as a clear-minded choice to help the enemy preserve the 1999 Constitution. And this will mean sabotaging the self-redemption initiative of their own people, the Alliance. NINAS strongly advises the political parties and political nations in the Alliance territories not to put themselves on a head-on position with the peoples of the territories in their quest for self-preservation via self-determination. Going forward, since the 2 tiers of government in Nigeria have abandoned the populace to their fate, NINAS action train now moves to the people. Having allotted a total of 120 days to the 2 tiers of government in Nigeria, 90 days and 30 days to federal and state governments respectively, for consultations and engagements with the issues raised by the NINAS Constitutional Force Majeure of December 16, 2020. And for the same reasons stated in paragraph 5 above regarding the foreseeable immediate impacts of the consideration of allegiance to the displaced 1999 Constitution on persons to whom the demands of the December 16, 2020 were not addressed, the NINAS train of consultation and engagement will today, April 17, 2021, move on to the peoples of Nigeria, especially in the alliance territory, who collectively own the sovereignty forcefully consolidated and hijacked by the Nigerian state via the instrumentality of the imposed and fraudulent constitutional amendments of 1999. Accordingly, we have reached the operational stage now. NINAS hereby declares a 120-day period of consultations, commencing today, April 17, 2021, with the peoples of the alliance territories, with dedicated sessions for various segments of the Nigerian society, the diplomatic community, and the international community. In this period, all segments of the Nigerian society in the alliance territories shall be consulted and engaged with the NINAS proposition as outlined in the December 16, 2020 Constitutional Force Majeure Proclamation. And these will include grassroots organizations, young people, youth organizations, political parties, the media, church networks, regional social, cultural, and socio-political organizations, organized private sector, farmers' union, traders associations, trade unions, ASU, UPEC, artisans, students, artisan unions, or non-governmental organizations, organized labor, market men and women associations, students and students' unions, the Nigerian Bar Association, the Nigerian Medical Association, and such other professional groups, the Nigerian diaspora, especially those from the alliance territories, the Manufacturers Association, transport unions, including motorcycles and tricycle riders, and all other identifiable segments of society that may not have been listed here. Also identifiable statesmen and notable community leaders, including traditional rulers. A schedule of engagement with these segments of society listed herein before shall be released to the public in the form of weekly bulletins by the NINAS Secretariat. These consultations shall mostly take the form of town halls, mass dissemination of flyers and leaflets, pamphlets, audiovisuals, street evangelism, and visitations. The town hall meetings shall be virtual in some instances, considering the limitations currently imposed on the global community by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Nigerian diaspora community, especially those from the alliance territories, are hereby mandated to organize town halls in their countries of residence to discuss and disseminate CFM-related information, just as it is done in Nigeria. As a part of the engagement in this 120-day period, NINAS requests all organizations and individuals who agree with the objectives of December 16, 2020 Constitutional Force Majeure Proclamation to declare their support loudly in public, so that the task of enlightening, rallying, and mobilizing the populace to self-redemption may be expedited. It is in this context that NINAS wishes to acknowledge and hail the bold example of Pastor Paul Adeparasi of the Church of the Rock, of the House on the Rock Church, in identifying the foundation of Nigeria's complex problems to be Nigeria's constitution, describing Nigeria itself as a scam and a fraud, also rejecting further access to power, that is national election, under the toxic 1999 Constitution. NINAS challenges other men and women of God in Nigeria to speak up as loudly and clearly as Pastor Paul Adeparasi has done on this raging question of the union dispute. Silence will be interpreted as support for the forces of darkness and retrogression that imposes and maintains the atrocious military constitution on the federal union. Even in the midst of escalating insecurity, existential threats, excruciating poverty and hopelessness, the purpose of this consultation is to fully acquaint the populace with the true nature of the problems confronting Nigerians and Nigeria, with a view to rallying and mobilizing that populace towards the peaceful mechanisms for resolving the long-standing national questions of Nigeria, including referendums and plebiscites, as against the rapidly increasing trend towards self-help. So let it be known that upon the completion of this final round of consultations, that will be roughly mid-August 2021, should the demands of the CFM remain unaddressed, NINAS shall proceed most expeditiously with the activation of the consideration of allegiance to the repudiated 1999 Constitution and commence processes of the orderly interment of that Constitution within the context of the self-determination imperative for the constituent nationalities components of Nigeria. Let it be noted that in response to intervention by people of Israel from within and outside Nigeria, including foreigners who are sympathetic to Nigerians for their horrifying plight, NINAS will, in the interest of our peoples, be willing to reopen the window of dialogue and engagement with the two tiers of government in Nigeria if they turn up in the course of the 120-day period of consultation with the peoples of Nigeria and the international community. Let it be clearly understood that from this 17th day of April 2021, the 5-point demand contained in the December 16, 2020 Joint Multi-Regional Constitutional Proclamation of NINAS shall operate as a 5-point agenda of the Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance self-determination, which means that with or without the participation of the two tiers of government in Nigeria, federal and state, the objectives of each of those 5 points of demand shall be vigorously pursued on a transcendental basis by the peoples of Nigeria under the guidance of NINAS until truly realized. In closing, let it be known to all that by the event of today, NINAS has activated what the world calls people's power in the difficult debates and dialogues emanating from the Constitutional Proclamation of December 16, 2020, which is essentially a machinery of the peoples of Nigeria to peacefully ease out the unworkable imposed Unitary Constitution of Nigeria, 1999, and to distill successor constitutional arrangements anchored upon the unfettered self-determination rights of the constituent components of Nigeria. As we speak, the Yorubas were gathered. Well, it was to be a continuous sense, but we've done it. So as we change the tense, as we speak, the Yorubas were already gathered at the historic Maku in the great city of Ibadan, the national capital of the Yorubas in the disputed Nigerian Union, holding the kind of rally that will progressively characterize the NINAS consultations with the peoples of Nigeria. Finally, as the general response to the deluge of inquiries from the public regarding what the mission and makeup of NINAS is, permit us to clarify as follows. NINAS is short for Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. NINAS is a self-determination movement led as alliance of the self-determination initiatives across the 3 alliance territory blocks of the Lower Niger, the Middle Belt, and North Island. The main task of NINAS is to lead the dismantling of the fraudulent 1999 Constitution, to end the unworkable unitary union choice, and to champion the processes of self-determination by which sovereignty is restored to the constituent regions of the alliance. This dismantling, which automatically frees up the hijacked sovereignty of the trapped constituent components of Nigeria, is being driven in a manner that will precipitate an orderly transitioning arrangement that will midwife the emergence of successor constitutional protocols, anchored strictly upon the self-determination rights of the constituent components of the defunct Federation of Nigeria, aggregated in foundations of their choice to be ratified by regional referendum and plebiscite. While NINAS shepherds the task of dismantling the 1999 Constitution, the constituent regional organizations initiatives will, under the guidance of NINAS, midwife the emergence of cohesive regional charters of constitutions that will form the basis of UNSC mandated self-determination referendums to terminating the failed Legaden experiment of 1940. Thank you for your audience. On behalf of Professor Banji Akintoye, Chairman, NINAS, April 17, 2020. Any questions? Any questions? Any clarification?
Media, time to take a question. Yeah, okay, we're taking the media questions now. Okay, media, you've heard it all. Any questions so that we can address them? No, I'm saying it. No question from the media. No question. Okay, the media here said they say the matter is so clear they have nothing to add from what they heard.
Okay, Tony.
If there's no any question,
if there's no question, then we can
we clap for ourselves?
Tony.
No. If we are talking to a global audience, if when we are done, we can take down to other things.
Okay, Tony, if you can hear me clearly now. Okay, if you can hear me now, since you don't have questions from the conference room, I think we might have one or two questions virtually. So for those of you who might want to ask your question, for speed, if you can type it out in the comment section. But let me take the first question here, Tony. I have here T. Ogunwu. So please, can you kindly unmute yourself and ask your question? 30 seconds, please. 30 seconds.
Yes. I'm so happy. This is Ogunwumiju Ilano, USA. There's a very particular thing that is pressing on my mind. Yesterday on the media, I was watching and I heard there's a committee called the National Constitutional Committee, something like that. And that they are actually, can I go on?
Yes, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, they're actually rewriting another constitution for Nigeria. Please, is there anything, are the people actually involved in this, or is just a charade of what happened with the 1999 constitution? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I take another question from Salako? Salako, please unmute yourself.
Hello, my name is Shola Salako.
Okay.
I'm really happy to have listened to Otumba Shade and to be here. My question is this. My understanding is that the CFM is a legal process. However, there's some people claiming that they're doing a referendum on June 12th. I just want Tony or Otumba Shade to explain that as a legal process, nobody can come up and say they're doing a referendum. The same pragmatic and timely way that you have been taking care of the constitutional force majeure is the same way that the referendum, when it comes, will happen. That anyone saying otherwise is just making mischief. So if you can please confirm.
Okay, thank you very much. That clarification will be made. Thank you very much. And Tony, did you get these two questions? Maybe I'll come back to you for you guys. Okay, let's take one more. Obviously, let's take one more question. Can I take the question from Flourish? Again, if you join the meeting and you join the meeting with a device name and the name that is not human, sorry, you're not going to be called upon. Can I take name from Flourish? A question?
Okay.
Can you go ahead with your question? 30 seconds, please.
All right. Thank you very much. I want to really appreciate the NINAS and everybody that is working, to make everything work out for the country. And At this point in time, just like the first person that spoke, what I wanted to suggest is this: since the country is already working on the amendment of the Constitution, I would suggest if you people, Tony, Nandi, and some other people that are actually working this out in this forum, if there is a way that you can be able to work with the country, with the people in charge of the amendment of the Constitution, in order to be able to get a referendum,
okay,
and do the things
thank you.
way.
Your question is well understood. Can I have the next question, please?
Good. Thank you
Oye,
very
please.
much. I appreciate.
The readout today was a bit fast, and we cannot hear it properly. Where can we find the transcript so that we can read it to understand it?
Okay, I think to your question, that publication has been made. If you go to njenjemedia.com, you can see the full transcript there. Thank you very much, Hechem Okoye. Can I take Tony Mwisi, and that's going to be the last person. Tony Mwisi, please. Tony Mwisi for the last time. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Also, my thanks to Tony, Nadi, and the team at NINAS for excellent job done. My question is, how are you planning to coordinate the activism of civil society in such a way that it can be organized properly and the right information is disseminated to the people and not the wrong information? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And that's the much question that we can take. Sorry about that. So Tony, if you can quickly address the questions that has to do with the Constitutional Committee from the federal government, the legal process, and the referendum that some group said to be coming up on the 12th of June, and the question that has to do with working with the National Assembly and the civil society organization. Tony, over to you. So if you can do justice to this question, then we can wrap it up. Thank you.
Right. I didn't get the first two. For some reason, I didn't get them properly. But let me start with the third one. The question by Flourish. That's the name I saw. The one in which somebody was suggesting that we should go to National Assembly to try to be part of amendment. The answer to the question is that
can you sorry Tony here. Sorry to interject. Can you move it back a little bit so that people can see you properly? You're too close to the camera.
Oh, I see. I was just trying to hear. The noise is too much. The noise is too much. We're still in the studio. Please, every little noise gets to the studio. We are before the global community. Hold on a little. And so we have a new crowd here. The answer to that question is that we do not have a constitution. That is the contention of the indigenous nationalities of Nigeria. We have not made any constitution. The power to make constitution, the constitution making requires constituent powers. The National Assembly does not have constituent powers. The National Assembly has powers to make laws, not to make constitution. Constitution making is an incident, is a power that is incidental to the sovereignties. The Yoruba will have to decide what they do with their sovereignty. It is in that decision that they go meeting with other people to decide whether they want to be in a union. That is what is captured in a constitution. The constitution we have now, the reason we are insisting it must go down is that we have not, the owners of the sovereignty have not made any constitution. The National Assembly that is ganging around to try to sustain the fraud of 1999, the treason that Absalom Amaka and his confederates, initiated in 1999, are holding on to that anybody who is swearing to defend and uphold that constitution is committing treason against the rest of us. So there's no question of going to National Assembly to seek amendment. They are committing an offense for which their own people are going to hold them accountable, because all the things happening, whether it's the killings or the mass impoverishment or the hopelessness that is about to consume the Union of Nigeria now, is coming from that constitution. They are holding on to it because they get 50, 60 million naira every month. The governors are holding on to it because they get 5, 10 billion every month. And the owners of the sovereignty have come to the end of their patience because it is now an existential threat to them. That constitution will consume them if they don't take it down. So let us get it very clearly. The powers of the National Assembly does not include the constitution making.
So thank you very much, Tony. Can you go to the next question, please?
Yes. The other questions, please, just remind me.
Okay, so there are 2 questions, if you can hear me clearly, that I want you to take. One is, you've looked at the Constitutional Committee, then the legal process. Someone asked a question, what you are proposing and what NINAS is doing is a legal process, but that there is a group that says and are telling people that the June 12th is going to be a date for a referendum. What do you have to say to that? Then the final question is that what is it that NINAS is doing to work together with the civil society organizations regarding sensitizations? Thank you.
Right, thank you. The question of referendum by June 12th, we have come to the determination that the system that is sinking has mobilized its agents, across various territories. In Eastern Nigeria, people are talking about presidency, Igbo presidency. There's a group that's going about saying they're holding consultation for how to produce president in 2023. At a time, the people of Eastern Nigeria are saying that they reject this constitution as basis of Nigeria and that they're not going to any further elections under it. So these are agents of the system. The one of June 12th referendum is also the work of the agents of the caliphate in Western Nigeria to pretend that they're going to a referendum they will now manage in their own way. The referendum that NINAS is talking about is one that will be mandated by the United Nations Security Council. You had it in the statement, so that it is enforceable. Any referendum that does not come from a mechanism that will have capacity to enforce is only what I could call is futile. Is a opinion poll, and if they want to do opinion poll, of course they are at liberty to do opinion poll. So the question of coming on by which authority is going to do that referendum, they just want to use their own mechanisms to pretend that the Yoruba don't want self-determination. Nobody's going to pay attention to them. What's the other question?
Okay.
The one of what we do with civil society. Yes, in the operative part of the statement that was just given out now, you saw that we are moving into the phase where this whole question of what to do with Nigeria and its future is going over to the populace. That's why this press conference is titled Activating the People's Power. And you saw we listed all the constituencies that will have to be engaged in the period of 120 days that begins today. And the civil society featured the young people, the market women and men, the Labor Congress, the church networks, all of the segments of society. We waited 90 days for the federal government to come to bring themselves to the discussion of what we do with our failing union. They didn't come in their usual arrogance. We extended 30 days to the second tier of government, the governors and the other elected officials from the Alliance territory. Again, yesterday was the last day. They didn't come. Now, having paid them that courtesy, having fulfilled that righteousness of inviting them to come and be part of the discussion, the whole engagement is now moving to the owners to the streets, to the owners of the sovereignty. And so in the next 120 days, we'll be engaging. There will be a period for the media, there will be a period for the labor, there will be a period for bar association, the church networks, the market, every segment of society, the drivers union, in all of that, the international community, the diplomatic community. In that period, we are going to be, acquainting them with what our propositions are, because they are the ones living in the misery that is called Nigeria today. And it is their sovereignty we're discussing now. So what we need to do does not have to wait for whether the government, the center, or the ones of the state. Nobody requires them to the sovereignty of the constituent components of Nigeria, is inalienable. That you can't come to abridge it. So they are going in that right to decide what they want to do in the face of the collapse of the federation that they thought they were building, the secular federation they thought they were building. People have gone up. There are people who have seceded from the union.
Thank you, Tony. Before I wrap it up,
may we please, sorry, Njenje, we do have retired Admiral Yanga that has been on from the beginning and would like to invite him to speak to the people because he is from the Ijaw Nation and he's one of the leaders in NINAS. So if we could please get him on, and I think I saw Prof. Tureki on earlier as well. I don't see him now, but if we can get them on to speak about this momentous occasion would be awesome. Yaga is from the Ijaw Nation and Tureki is from the Middle Belt. So if we can get them up to speak would be great. Okay, Admiral Yanga, thank you very much. If we can have you address the people on this momentous moment will be great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my hosts. Let me appreciate the NINAS leadership and the facilitators of this conference. I've listened up to some of the presentations. I think the Ijaw people for whom I speak are entirely and committed to any self-determination movement, because the Ijaw people had, I think, the most oppressed and marginalized people in Nigeria. But I have my right from inception, regions, they organized them into two regions, East and West. Later on, another region was created, that is the Midwest region. The Ijaw people are in 7 states across the entire, almost the entire coastal region of Nigeria. I know, like Church said, it is upon the seas, depends. The colonial masters recognized the potential of the Ijaw people, occupying the entire 90% of the coastal territory of Nigeria, and decided that they must not be put together to determine their future. And that was how they divided us into the various regions, and as now to 7 states. And that is a struggle. You can imagine even in the creation of so-called states by the dictatorship, even a Ijaw nation, 1 state, they still made it the least in terms of local governments. We have a legal constitution that is supposed to be 10 or 12 minimum, and they continue to operate it. So we, the Ijaw people, will continue to struggle for self-determination. And if you can recall, the first was from the Ijaw nation. That is the movement, the struggle by late Major Isaac Boro that said declared the Niger Delta Republic at that time. Even though the uprising was 12 days, the declaration stands, and we have followed it up. So we support any movement for self-determination for indigenous nationalities in this country, or in this country called Nigeria. Can everything and end objective. Where, which, like Tony Nadia said, in everybody, what I will advise everybody is that we must engage the nationalities themselves more strongly. The engagement of the nationalities, to me, is not enough as at now, because it is seen that it's even the bigger nationalities that are even coming conspicuously on it. And the fears of smaller nationalities in those bigger ones is very high. So, for instance, if you make a map of the Eastern Bloc with a lot of indigenous nationalities in that bloc, they would also express fears that will we not be subjugated again to the more numerically stronger people in the Eastern Bloc. And that is also applicable to the West. So the engagement of the indigenous nationalities, particularly the smaller ones, numbers, must be reinforced. We must work harder to bring them on board. And just an advice for those who insist that what the status quo is what must remain, I would say, like the late sage Chief Awolowo said, if you make those who make peaceful change impossible, will always make a violent change inevitable. That is a warning. That is an advice. So, in summary, we are totally in support of NINA's approach to determining self-determination for indigenous nationalities in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Admiral. We are really glad that you were here, and I know that you chimed in earlier. It seems as if we have lost Prof. Turaki, who was also here earlier. So I'm going to hand it over to Njeje. But let me just say one thing. This is a portion where we're activating people power, and that's everyone in this room. There's everyone around around Nigeria in the Alliance territory that comes from the Alliance territory. It's the international community and everyone in the diaspora. And this is what we're charging you all to do. No 2023 elections will be allowed to hold in any of the Alliance territories. And that's up to us to make that happen. So that's your charge. You're asking what happens now. That's what you're going to do. You're going to mobilize the people, sensitize the people, and we're going to actually take back our self-determination. Mazi, thank you again very much for hosting this and for doing a fabulous job each time. I'm going to hand it back to you to wrap up.
So thank you very much, Jen here. Tonya, I'll piggyback, I'll bring it back to you. I don't know if we would have the privilege to have Professor Akintoye. Somehow I couldn't find him here. So can you advise, with which device he's logged in, so we can have a word from him?
Yeah, let me see whether I get an answer to that right away, because I've sent that question. He's not. We came almost 50 kilometers, back and forth from where we had planned to be, but he's been with us several hours today, and I will see whether he can come in even by telephone, so that we can hear one word from him. Otherwise, I could say let me very quickly respond to what the point raised by Admiral Yanga. The alliance, the three blocks of the alliance, it is in the Yoruba space that we have a one language group. In the eastern side, that's the lower Niger, there's a charter of relationships that has brought all those minority elements, the nationalities, the Soko, the Shekiri, the Anang, the Efik, all of them are on the table of that charter of relationship, processing that charter of relationship as we speak, so that they can have something that fully takes into account each of their right to self-determination. Because as the Yoruba wants self-determination, so does the Shekiri. As the Igbo wants self-determination, so does the Ijaw and the Ogoni. So the Charter of Relationship is a mechanism by which all these nationalities would, sign up, sit down and negotiate what is acceptable to them to federate in their bloc. As it is in the eastern side, the Middle Belt is also doing so. Over 100 language groups, but they are doing their own chart of relationships, the Tiv, the Doma, the Berom, the Wagatu, all the way to Southern Kandi Kataf, all of them, Jokum. They are all now making out. Nigeria has never done that, even from inception in 1914. The owners of the sovereignty have never been allowed to negotiate and discuss among themselves first on whether they want to relate with anybody else and the formations in which they want to relate. All of that is being taken care of in the NINAS framework. So that's what we have about that. We could go to another, if there's any other question or comment.
I think we're wrapping up. We're rounding up now. We've overshot our time, but because of the things that happened in the on ground. So on that note, since unless you're able to get Professor Akintoye on the phone, if not, we will be saying a very wonderful evening and thanking everyone for joining us.
Thank you. I'll try just one more time. Oh, okay. I think his numbers are now switched off. He hasn't had any sleep at all on account of what's going on in the city where we are.
Well, by the account of his age and what he encountered earlier today, we pray and we hope that he is safe and that the security agents haven't done anything nasty to him. And we pray for him that he's going to remain safe wherever he is. On that note, I will say thank you once more for joining us this afternoon. And, the press release is out there for everyone to see. For some of you who are, some of you in this meeting, that press release has been shared, the link to it. And for some of you watching us globally, you can go to njenje.njenjemedia.com. You can see where that press release is published. On that note, I will say once more, thank you very much for joining us. Now, I know many of you on the ground zero in the hall where this event is taking place. Many media houses there. So before the BBC channels, everyone is on ground. We will now leave you virtually to continue the event on that, on the ground. Once more, thank you once more, everyone, for joining the conversation. The video is obviously on various social media handles. This video can be found in Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube as well. Many people are watching right now, but afterwards, you can obviously share this World Press Conference and with your friends and your family. Once more, Tony, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you. We are proud of you.
Thank you.